Yesh Misha Omrim that this is the most difficult daf in the Nedarim. Those who say that, yeah.
Harder than the other night.
Yeah. This is harder. The other night was Cheshbon. Chav Zayin was Cheshbon. It's a combination of just difficult. Okay, so you said yesterday, it goes on the last case of the Mishnah on Chav Ches. So it behooves us to go back to Chav Ches Lamed Aleph to see the latter case. Harinatias elu carbon. These natias are a carbon. Till you cut it off, or talizu carbon till it gets. In other words, I'm making the neder chal now. It is right now. It's kodesh. Right now it's kodesh. Now, depending how the Ran learned two ways, guys. You can learn it's nidre iser, meaning it's ki carbon, or you can learn it is a carbon and it's nidre hegdish, and you're going to give the worth to you mean mekadesh it as a carbon. So that's what I'm Masechta is not about. I'm at Masechta the first round of Masechta said I'm Masechta is about nidre iser, not nidre hegdish. But the Ran had those two different ways to learn. So let's just focus. Forget the Talis case. Let's focus on the Natia case for all intents and purposes. So I have a tree. I say this tree is kodesh. Until when? Until I cut it down. Once I cut it down, the kedusha is over. Pashtus, right? But the Gemara, the Mishnah, a cryptic ending. Ein lahem pidyon. Ein lahem pidyon. Now, fellas, if something's kodesh, it has a pidyon. If something's kodesh, it has a pidyon. So it can't be when it says ein lahem pidyon over here, it doesn't mean it doesn't have a pidyon. It must mean something else. So as to what that something else is we're going to see. Okay, what that main opinion, what that means, we're going to see. But we begin the Gemara. Who's over here? Somebody's here. Okay. The chart is for tonight. The chart is definitely for tonight, right? This chart is definitely for tonight. Okay, Maya, we're going to learn tomorrow morning. You working tomorrow? 9 o'clock. We're learning 9 o'clock. If you're available, we're learning 9 o'clock. Okay. Anyway, so
thank you.
We're going on this case now. The Gemara right away and Chesam base at the bottom 4 lines up. Is it kodesh la'olam? You said ein lahem pidyon, and you mean it's kodesh la'olam? It's very difficult to say that, right? It can't be that it's not kodesh because the ned is chal. There's no reason, fellas, for this neder not to be chal. Why did you say this is kodesh until I cut it? There's no reason that it should be kodesh, right? It's a clear-cut neder, right? It's not nidrei oinsin, it's Jerusalem. Until I cut it, it's a neder. So when it says in opinion, just to carte blanche say there's no opinion, that doesn't make any sense to say that. So what does it mean in opinion?
Well,
Okay. So that's the discussion tonight. Now, more than that, let's say he'd be paid it when before something that's kedusha, you could be paid. Let's speak it out, guys. Look at me. Something that's kedusha, you could redeem. So here's my tree. I went ahead and I said, this tree, until I go ahead and cut it, is kodesh. Now I go ahead, I take something else. I say, the kedusha on this should be on here. What's the din of this? What's the din of this? That's okay. Says Bapada, it's kodesh, it's chulin, and then it's kodesh again. Why? Because I said it's going to be in the state until I cut it down. I didn't cut it down yet. So I did an act of pigeon. But in fact, I didn't go ahead and it's ongoing. So it's off, on, off, on, off, on. Now, when I finally cut it down, is it off or you have to be it again one more time? Says Bapad, you have to be it one more time. Says Bapad, you have to be it one more time. That's Bapad Shita. Says the Gemara, Amma Barpada, Padain, you paid it if you are Chayzrais and Kaitshais. It goes back and it's Kaitish again. Padan, if you paid it again, as long as it's not cut down, Chayzrais and Kaitshais, Ad, and this relationship continues, Ad Shei Katsutsu, until you cut it down. However, Niktsatsu, once you cut it down, Poidim Pam Achas, you do one more time, Vidayoy, and that's enough. Ve'ula Amar, Kiman Sheniktsu, once you cut it down, Shuv Ein Poidim. Once you cut it down, there's no more pidyon. Okay, so now, Ula didn't say what would the din be if you magdish it. What? Okay, so look at the chart. I put it out. Look at the chart. This is saving us a large run, guys. The purpose of this chart is twofold. One, I have my phone. Okay, the purpose of this chart is twofold. One, to save us time, and two, to show you the nice stationery that Penny made for me. Okay, that's you see nice stationery from the desk rail. He has a stern. It's a nice little piece. So you look at the right side. Is there pigeon before it's cut? Before it's cut, can you be part of it? So what does Baparda say? No. If yes, it's kodesh again. In other words, it goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Once, however, next across, once you cut it, then you must be paida one more time, and that's it. That's Bapada. Says Ula, again, Ula only said the latter. Once you paida, there's no need for pidyon. The kedusha falls away. There's a machloikis between the Rashba and a person named Rav Moshe Kortavani, that the Ran calls Chacham Gadol. The Chacham Gadol says, no. He says, it's not Kodesh again. Once you go ahead and you magdish it, it's not Kodesh again. No, it's Poida. Once you Poida it, it's not Kodesh again. It's not Kodesh again. So now, what does it mean, Ein La Pidyon, guys? In the Mishnah said, right? Ein La Pidyon. Barpad and Ula have a different interpretation of Ein La Pidyon. Take a look. I put it on the bottom. According to Barpad, the Ein La Pidyon means when it's not cut, it has no pidyon. We know why? Because the kedusha returns. Ein le pidyon means as soon as I cut it, ein le pidyon, it comes back. According to Ula, ein le pidyon means after it's cut, there's no need to be paida. Automatically, the cutting it takes it off. That's the machlokes. That's the machlokes. So it comes out like this. According to Barpada, the kedusha doesn't go off. After you cut it down, you still have to be paida. The act of cutting it down did not go ahead and absolve take away the kedusha, even though the neder is no longer in vogue. Paida requires a pidyon even after you cut it down. Why? The kedusha b'chdi like paka, whereas Ula seems to say no. Ula seems to say that as soon as it goes down, right? As soon as you cut it, it's gone. So it comes out according to Ula. Why don't you have to take off the kedusha, guys? Because you can be magda something for a certain period of time. What did you say? I'm magda shit as long as it's standing. And what's the raya? Because when you cut it down, you finished. You cut it down, you finished. Okay. So let's go one more time to chart, guys. Machloikis din barpada and ula. Like barpada, before it's cut kaddish again and again and again and again. Lord ula, it's a machloikis whether it's kaddish again and again. Okay. But for what's machlokes is afterwards, right? Machlokes is afterwards. Clearly, Barpada requires pidyon again because kedusha b'chdi like paka. Whereas Ula would say no, you can be magna something for a certain period of time, and therefore what? It's good. That's the chart. Okay. Okay. So now let's see what we got. Read the Gemara. Amalei Hamnuna kedusha shebehen lehechin holcha. Where does the kedusha go? According to Ula, fellas, where does the kedusha go? You said you don't have to be paida. The guys, listen to this. This thing was kodesh. You were never paida it because Ula said if you paida it, it's gone, right? So you were never paida this. Period. And now it's cut down. Poof. Where does it go? Where does it go? So Amar of Amnuna kedusha sheben lehechin halcha uma ilu amar leisha. If you would have told a woman, Hayoim at ishti. Today you are my wife. Ulamachar at ishti, and tomorrow you're not my wife. Minafkis below get. Would you go out without a get? In other words, the Gemara is telling the kedusha of a tree, the kedusha of a woman, and just like a woman, you say you kodesh today, and you got to do something. So to Ula, you kodesh today, but you got to do something. Cutting down the tree is still kodesh. Amalei Rava to Rav Hamnuna, what are you talking about? Mika medamis kedushas damim lekedushas aguf. How could you compare kedushas damim lekedushas aguf? You know, there's two types of kedusha, guys. There's kedusha, something that is kaddish for its worth, such as a tree, and something that's intrinsically kaddish. You kaddish an animal. The animal has intrinsic kedusha. The magdish an isha is intrinsic kedusha. She's like a carbon. She's right. So how can you sushtel? Kedusha's guf doesn't leave. You're right. Without a get, it doesn't leave. And an animal with kedusha's guf, without a boom, you can't be pointed. Just doesn't leave. Kedusha's damin, just tamazoi, it could leave. Kedusha's b'chli paka. So in other words, you have amnuna from your question hold. There's no difference between kedusha's damin and kedusha's guf. You obviously hold out what? That kedusha b'chli loy paka. Even kedusha's damin. Says Rava, what are you talking about? Says Rava, I can make a chilik. There's a chilik between kedusha's damin and kedusha's haguf. Kedusha's haguf doesn't leave. Kedusha's damin believes, right? Kedusha's damin paka b'chdi. Kedusha's guf loy paka b'chdi. Amalei abaya. Guys, so good. Amalei abaya, a third shita. Kedusha's haguf loy paka. Kedusha's haguf. No, I can show you even kedusha's haguf could leave, right? But Tanya. Shar ze oila kol lamid yoim. This shar is an oila for all 30 days. Ulachid lamid yoim shlamim. Now, an oila is kache kedashim, and a shlamim is kachem kalim. Now, what does after 30 days? Kol lamid yoim oila lachid yamid yoim shlamim. Now, does an oila have kedusha zaguf? Yeah. What are you going to tell me? If it goes from an oila to a shlamim, is the kedusha paka? Now you don't go down levels, guys. Right. You don't go down levels. If so, you tell me it's a shlamim. What must have happened? It must have. It came off. The total thing came off of oila and shain givarin a shlamim, and then it became a shlamim. So what do you see? That kedusha zaguf could be paka. You see, from that case, the kedusha zaguf could be paka, because it's not pshat that you just went down a level of kedusha. It had to be that you removed the kedusha and cheschala naya kedusha. So, Freda Baya to Rava, what are you saying that kedusha zaguf can't come off? I'll show you kedusha zaguf, in fact, could come off. Why? You see that this oila goes to a shlamim and becomes a shlamim. Amai kedusha zaguf nenu paka bichti. And for the Gemara, I'll tell you that. When he said over here that it's to be an oila shlamim, it doesn't mean that this thing should be an oila. It means hacha b'mayaskinon the amal l'demei. We're speaking where you magdish it, this object for the worth that I'm going to buy an oila. It only kedusha's damin. What?
Does it bump it up automatically?
What? So it's very good. So Baruch, who's been learning for many cycles, says if you take an animal that's tamim and you magdish the animal of demei, automatically becomes kedusha zaguf. Says the Rama speaking about a balmum. The Rama speaking about a balmum that you couldn't be. You hear me saying? So if you're guys, the Gemara, I think it's in Tamura. If you go ahead and magdish your whole nechasim, and among the nechasim you have kosher animals that are they automatically, even though you were magdish l'damim, they become automatically bumped up, right? So speaking over here, the Ram brings it in, right? The Ram brings it in. I think he said it's speaking about a balmum. Speaking about a balmum, that would take care of that problem. Okay. Anyway, excellent, Baruch, excellent. So now, what's your kasha? What's your kasha? You're asking on me that kedusha zaguf. Yeah, we just switched it. In other words, you said it's kedusha zaguf, and you're asking upon me, Rava, that kedusha zaguf is like paka. Here you're showing me that it is paka. No, that is not kedusha zaguf, Chaim, right? That's you learned wrong pshat. It's kedushas damin. It's kedushas l'demei. So right now, here's what we're holding. Like Rav Hamnuna, guys, whether it's kedusha zaguf or kedusha zagdamim, it's not paka at all. You hear from his question, where did the kedusha in the tree go to? So obviously he holds, guys, I feel about kedusha's damim. You don't say it leaves. Good. Rava said there's a chilik between what? Kedusha's adamim and kedusha's aguf. Kedusha's damim does leave, like by the tree. Kedusha's aguf, like by a woman or by a carbon, doesn't leave. Freda Baya, I feel about kedusha's guf, it leaves, right? So you have three different shitas according to what? Three different shitas. Good. So now, Ihachi, if you're telling me it's speaking about kedusha's damim, ema seifa la'achal lamid yoim, after 30 days oila u'miachshav shlamim. So you're going the opposite direction. After 30 days it should be oila, and now it should be a shlamim. Now what's the din? L'chayra, according to you, If it's speaking about Kedushas Damim, it should work. If it's Kedushas Aguf, it shouldn't work. If you're telling me two cases, one is speaking about Kedushas Damim, and one is speaking about Kedushas Aguf on the days, you had to tell me two separate cases. The Salkadai, the Chaminan, Kedushas Aguf, Paka Bichti, right? But Kedushas Damim, Paka Bichti, Amtulahachi, Tana Tarti. You learn two cases. One to tell me Kedushas Aguf, and one to Kedushas Damim, one to Kedushas Aguf. So now, in other words, we're restoring the question that how can you Rabbi say that Kedushas Aguf doesn't leave? It must be over here that it does leave, or else you would have to tell me two separate questions. If you're going to tell me it's both Kedushas Damim, why do you have to tell me two cases? And what are the two cases, guys? What's the first case? First case is going from what? Oyla to a shlamim. And what's the second case? A shlamim to an oyla. Magdach from an oyla to shlamim works. You're going to tell me that shlamim to oyla. What's the chiddush? Hashta. In other words, we're just making the question a little stronger. Hashta yesh shleimar. The kedushas chamura, a carbon oyla, which is kachah gedashim. The kedushas kala, a shlam, which is kachim kalim. Paka, right? Paka. The kedusha. The latter case, the kedusha kala from a shlamim. The kedusha chamura to an oyla. Tzrichel and nema. You have to tell me. Well, it's obvious, right? But you have to tell me that. So now, so what are we proving, guys? What are we proving? That afilu b'kedushas aguf, you say paka. Good. Let's say it's a tiyufta bar pada. Really, it's really a question even on Rava. What did bar pada say? Bar pada said that you have to be paid it as soon as it gets cut down. Why? It should be paka. Like Ula said, it should be paka, right? The simple act. It should. So the bar pada the ama loy paka kedusha bichti. It doesn't go down. Okay, so let's start the river. Where are we holding? Where are we going? We began the sugya. We have bar pada saying when you cut down the tree, you have to be paid it once because what? The act of cutting, you have to take off the kedusha. Just doesn't leave. Kedusha doesn't leave, right? Says Ula the kedusha. In fact, what? Does leave. So Ula, the fact the Kedusha does leave. Fed Rav Nuna and Ula, where did it go? Right? And for Rav, I'll tell you where it went. It's Kedusha's Damim. Right? Kedusha's Damim, Bechti, without anything can leave. You got a question from Kedushin? Kedushin is Kedusha's Aguf. Fed the Gemara, I'll show you today's Kedusha's Aguf, it doesn't leave by the Oil Shlamim. That's speaking about Kedusha's Damim. Fed the Gemara, but the case of Shlamim, the Oil is speaking about Kedusha's Aguf. So you see, I feel like Kedusha's Aguf also leaves. So right now, going back to Bar Pada, Bar Pada said, once you cut down the tree, the Kedusha doesn't go off. What are you talking about? The Kedusha doesn't go off. You see, I proved to you, even though severe Kedusha goes off, even Kedusha Aguf goes off. It really is a kash on Rabbi too. Because Rabbi said by an Isha, right, you need to get Kedusha's Damim, he made the chilek. But the Gemara's, the Rishonim speak about why they didn't ask on Rabbi also. But again, you see the size of the Rans over here, very, very long Rans, very, very involved. Okay, so we're holding with a kasha bar pada. What do you mean that once you cut down the tree, you have to be paida? Kedusha bichli like paka. What are you talking about? I showed you it is paka. So we're gonna now. Where's the kasha from, guys? The kasha is from it. Really, it could be from both cases, right? There's two cases. Oyla to shlamim, which is the first case. That was kedusha's aguf damim. Let's say, and let's say the second case was kedusha's aguf. But the ratio was kedusha's damim. And the Sefer was Kedusha's Aguf. Good. So the Gemara is asking from the Sefer. The Gemara we'll see it around in a second. You could have asked from either one, but the Gemara is asking from the Sefer. When you said Me Achshav Shlomim, and afterwards it should be an Oyla, Me Achshav Shlomim, and after 30 days it should be an Oyla. And what happens? The Kedusha of the Shlomim leaves Bichti, Kedusha's Aguf, and becomes an Oyla, right? It's doch schwer. We're going to remove that question, guys. We're going to remove that question. We're going to add one letter, and that's going to remove the Sefer. And then we're going to have to ask. So you start the kasha from the Reisha, because the Reisha also says that what it's bichti when you're going from an oyla to a shlamim. Yeah, says the Gemara. But to answer the stira about pada, Amalach bar pada, pada tell you the following. Hachi kamar. Here's the way you read the Sefer. You're asking me from the Sefer that it's mashma kedushas aguf that leaves. I'll tell you here's the way you read it. Im loy amar me'achshav. He added one word. If you don't say me'achshav shlamim, la'achala midyoim oyla have. Meaning, guys, look at me. We thought it meant the following. Now it's an oila. Now it's a shlamim me'achshav, and 30 days from now it's an oila. That's not the way you read it. Im loy me'achshav shlamim. If it's not a shlamim, meaning it's nothing. It's nothing until when? Until 30 days from now, it's an oila. In other words, I could be magna something for the future. But ain't a chinami. If I went ahead and I made it a shlamim, it could not become an oila because kedusha bichti by kedusha zaguf does not leave. Again, we were going from a shlamim to an oila. I was saying it must be it went automatically off. No, you're going from nothing. You said loy me'achshav. In other words, you said that if you didn't say me'achshav shlamim, it's an oila 30 days from now. Good. Now, kasha. What about the Reisha? The Reisha, you Rav Nuna said that Afila Kedusha's damim doesn't go off, therefore you have to be part of the tree if you cut it. Why? You see, by shlamim to oila, by oila to shlamim, it automatically becomes a shlamim. What do you do with that? And that's speaking about Kedusha's damim, right? So let's lead around. Guys, you had a kasha. We answered up the latter part, going from a shlamim to an oila. The Reisha said, if you're going from an oil to a shlamim, and over there you can't say me'achshav. You never said me'achshav. So that obviously kedusha's damim bichdi paka. Said Rav Nuna, no, bichdusha b'kdi is like paka. You still have to be paid if you cut down the tree. Beautiful. Okay. Look at the Ran, guys. Top line. Amar papa come out. Im loy amar me'achshav shlamim la'achar shleishim yoyim oila. Perish. Seifa asina letrutze. You're coming to answer the seifa. We're answering the seifa where you're going me'achshav shlamim to an oila. Aval reisha kidekaima kaima, where you're going from an oila to a shlamim, that stays intact. That stays intact. Ula oilam da'amar l'demei, and it's speaking l'demei. So Fred the Rana Kasha, you answered up kedusha b'chti by guf. You didn't answer up the reisha, which is shver b'pada, because b'pada says the tree. You have to be paida. Guys, you had cheshbon. You had the cheshbon. Guys, you all hear the cheshbon? So what does he answer? So v'loi tikshi the b'pada. The muki la b'pidyon. He's going to say you were paid it. You know that's speaking. You were paid it, guys. You know what happened when you said it's going from an oil to a shlamim? What did you do? You paid it. You paid it. Then it became shlamim. You paid it. It's kedusha's damim. Kedusha's damim. Kedusha's damim. That's what you can be paid it. But animum, you paid it. So that's why we. In other words, guys, look at me. Guys, look. There was an easy way out of the reisha. So you only ask from the seifa. What was the easy way out of the reisha? This is an oil for 30 days, and then it's a shlamim. You applied it. You took off the kedusha, and therefore kedusha bichti like paka. You didn't do a bichti with nothing. You did a pidyon, and then it became a shlamim. The kasha was only from the seifa because it was more because obviously that was kedusha zaguf. Kedusha zaguf you can't be paid, right? You would need a mum. So therefore we had the ukimta. He added the word that. Loy me'achshav. If you didn't say, then it's an oila. But einachinami, had you made it a shlamim by kedusha zaguf, it would not be an oila. Why? Because kedusha b'chti loy paka. So right now, Ula has held serve. Everyone's held serve. Bapad, you answer the shaila bapada. You answer the shaila and Ula. We have 3 shitas, guys. We have 3 shitas. Rav Amnuna, I feel the kedusha's dumb. You don't take off. Even I feel the kedusha's dumb. Can't take off. You have Abaya. I feel the kedusha's guf. You could take off. And you have Rabbi, Kedusha's guf, not Kedusha's damim yet. 3 shitas. Beautiful. Okay, now, what's the chiddush of the Sefer, guys? Guys, listen, what's the chiddush of the Sefer? If I didn't say shlamim, 30 days later, it becomes an oila. If I didn't say shlamim, 30 days later, it becomes an oila. Let's see it inside. What's the chiddush over there? Says the Gemara. Midi the have, ha'oimel isha, hiskachi li la'achal amid be mukudeshes to me after 30 days. This is the exact parallel case. The oila should be chal when? After 30 days. So this isha should be mukudeshes when? After 30 days. The mukudeshes. The afal p shenes achlu amois. Let's say you gave a kesef kedushin, but it's whatever she does with it doesn't make a difference. She can lose all the money, even if there's nothing around. She's moving the kudeshes. It says the Gemara pshita. So what's the chiddush, guys? The way you learn pshat. That it's not a shlamim until and not a noila after 30 days. What's the chiddush? In other words, you put a time frame on the chalais. What's the chiddush? What's the chiddush? That's the kasha. And to go pshita like tzricha, the hadabe, he changed his mind by the carbon. You know what he did? He said, This is not a shlamim. 30 days now it should be an oila. And then he changed his mind on day 15. Guess what? It's still, you can't change your mind. No backsies. No backsies. Even though the kedusha is not going to be until day 30, no backsies. Now, guys, what about by kedushin? What about kedushin? You makadosh and isha, 30 days from now, can you go back? Achloikis. Says the Gemara. Very good. The man Yama says you can't go back by the kedushin. Huadin, you can't go back by what? By the oila. El man Yama chayzer. Yes, but the man Yama that by kedushin you could go back. Ma'ikla Neymar. Why by b'chayra? There's no chiddush because you should be able to go back by oila too. Just like when you give your money to the woman and 30 days, you have 30 days for money back guarantee, right? So too over here, you should have the same guarantee by the oila. So, and therefore, there's no chiddush. No. Afilu mandiyama hasam chayzeres. There's a chiluk. Even by the mandiyam who says by kedushin, you could go back on your word and not mikudeshes. By hacha shiny over here by korban he be maida that after until you cannot go. There's no backsies, no money. You can't go back. Why? The amirasay legavoya saying something goes to Hashem. Kim sirasay lehedyid is like you're giving over to a hedyid. There's a special halacha, fellas. Usually in the parsha of kinyonim, you have to make a kinyan. Whatever it is, to acquire something, you have to make a kinyan. HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't have to make a kinyan. Amirasa lehedyid, amirasa legavoya. When you go ahead and saying it, it's kimsirasai, like you gave it over to the other guy's rishus. So in other words, so by kedushin, you could even go back on your word, okay? But by the oila, once you said this is going to be an oila after 30 days, it's showing what? It's it. There's a wonderful, I think it's a Ramban in Baba Basra. I might be wrong, but he says a wonderful yisoid. How does Amirasal Gavoya Kimsirasal Hedyot work? Hashem Aretz Maloya. The whole world belongs to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's a kinyan chatzah. It's a kinyan chatzah. HaKadosh Baruch Hu owns the world, right? Guys, HaKadosh Baruch Hu owns the world. So as soon as you say it, it's like you put it in his chatzah. We know it's gavaldik, right? It's a kinyan chatzah. So we're holding good. So you're holding Barpada, Rav Papa answered Barpada to Yufta and Barpada that you see that Kedusha B'chti Poka because it's going what? It's Kedusha Zaguf, it's going from an oila to a shlamim to an oila. It's not going from oila to shlamim, it's just going to it's going to be an oila because it was nothing. And what was the Chiddush that 30 days from now, and what's the Chiddush? There's no backsies. And even according to money over the exact same case by Kedushin, we have Mekadosh Nisha 30 days from now, and there is backsies, that's only by them. By Kutchin, we have the svara of I'm wrestling the works, wrestle the head yet. No backsies. Let's finish to the Mishnah. Come here, says the Gemara. Yosef Rav Avin, Rav Yitzchak Berebi, Kamed Rav Yemia. Rav Avin and Rav Yitzchak, the son of, was sitting in front of Berebi, the great God Adar, was sitting in front of Rav Yemia, and the common name Rav Yemia. Rav Yemia was dremeling. He was in the Daf Yomi share. He was nodding off. He was nodding off. So Yosfu v'Ka'amar, he sat. Lebapada, according to Bapada, who says, fellas, that it's once you're poida, it goes back to being kaddish, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Poda chayzeres kedushos. In other words, you're constantly going back, right? You're being poida, it's going back, being poida, going back. Tifshit the boy Rabbi Shia. Let's be poishit the abaya of Rabbi Shia. Let's be poishit the abaya of Rabbi Shia. Now, what was Oishia's abaya? Hanoising shtei prutais leisha. If someone gives 2 prutais to a woman, V'amalai says the following: Be achas hiskat shili hayoim. One of them be mukadeshes to me today. Uba achas hiskat shili leacha she'agarshich. And the other one, and if I divorce you, you should be mukadeshes to me with the other one. So, no. Hachanami dabe kedushin. Now l'chayra, it's the same case, guys. But it's the same case. What's the case? You were said this, you were poida, but automatically it goes back to being kaddish. So over here also you were megarish, and then like that's pigeon, removing it from its status, and then it goes back. So that's what they wanted to say. Asabuhu Rav Yirmiyah got up and Amalahu Maika Midamisan. How could you make how can you possibly compare Padanhu Padam Acherim? where he's paida and other people are paida. Hachiyam Rabbi Yochanan. Padon hu chayzeres, right, the kedushais. If he goes ahead and is paida the tree, then it goes back to being kaddish. Padon acherim ein chayzeres v'kedushais. In other words, guys, when he's paida it goes back to his rishus, right? It goes back to him. So he said what? Guys, what did he say? This tree is kaddish until I cut it. So now I was paid it, comes back to my rishus. Automatically, what? Let's say Shimon would be paid in my tree. I make this thing, and Shimon is paid it. Whose rishus is it in? Can I now go ahead and be magdish Shimon's? Ain't other magdish dava sheina shalai. So it's not comparable. By an isha, what's happening? When you go ahead and divorce the wife, is she in your rishus that you can be makadosh her again? No, she's in her own jurisdiction. Masha'en came by the tree. It's speaking in a case where I was paida, so it's still in my jurisdiction. So it's not a ketzushtel. Not a beautiful chilik that Rabbi Yomi is saying. One more time. So let's see it in the Ran. The Ran says, I think it's good to see inside. 2 lines down where it gets white. 2 lines down where it gets white. The kiddim the padim who, since he redeems it, it never left either the rishus of Hegdish or his own rishus. Guys, it was either in the state of Kedusha or it was in my rishus. The din is she goes back and be Kaidish. Let's say my tree, when my nether Shimon was paid it, even Shimon would give it back to me. He'd say, "Yeah, Rabbi, take it." You know why? As soon as Shimon was paid to this, my rishus left that. At that time, I could be magdish since at that time when it's by him, I could not go ahead and be magdish because ain't other magdish shalai. Even when it comes back to me, I can't do it. Beautiful, beautiful svara. So therefore, that's what Rabbi Yomi told him. What happens by the Isha, guys? By the Isha Nami kadu achemdim. Let's go to the Mishnah, and I want to show you a very famous rhyme. Okay, we'll go to the Mishnah. So we have a different now. So itmanami, and the Isha kipadim acherim dami, and a woman when she gets divorced is like being paid acherim. Itmanami, Ravami, Rabbi Yochanan, lo shanu el shepadahu. Remember, you say that like the barpada. That it goes back and forth. That's only when he paid the who. He's paid it. So it's either in his rishus or rishus hegdish. And when it's his rishus, he has his net is in place. If other people are paid it, ain't chaysus ukayjais. Why? Because it's no longer in his rishus. Now, there's according to Swilly Bronstein, this is the most famous round in Kedushin. I respectfully disagree. I think the most famous round in Kedushin is one that speaks about Tarubis and I know the man I'm a bushel, which we'll see Bez Hashem and Daf Yomi days. Probably Machlokes Magidei Shurim. What's the most famous round? What's the round? This next piece in the round. This round by Kedushin, guys. It's a mitzvah to see this round. Kedush. I said Nedarim. Right. I'm Mesech Nedarim. I'm Mesech Nedarim. Okay. So I'm Mesech Nedarim. There's a round that has to deal with Davashesh Matirim. I believe that's the most famous round. He said this is the most famous round. Okay, Chalukei Deis. Now, there's a din like this. Ki yikach ish. A person when he gets married, has to take a wife. Yikach. He has to go ahead and take her. She can't allow herself to be taken to him. Underneath the chuppah, if a woman would say to the chassan, "Hariat muresesli," it doesn't work. It has to. It's kiyikach v'lei kisi lokech, right? It's that. So here's the problem: when you go ahead and make a kinyan, how does it work? Let's make a kinyan. I'm selling you my iPhone, so I go, "Chaim, you want to buy my iPhone?" Yeah, okay, got it. So there are two opinions over here. There's a makna and there's a koina. I'm being makna it to him, and he's. So in other words, how does a woman ever get married? Isn't in every woman's a kinyan, right? So you're telling me she can't be giving herself over, but by definition, every kinyan is you're doing something, you're giving yourself over, right? So, but it has to be kiyikach. It has to be that you take her. So let's see this round comes up all the time in Lumdis. It starts 8 lines down where the lines get wide, guys. So we're in extra credit territory now. V'nichali, okay, listen to what he says. 8 lines down where it gets wide, the beginning of the line. V'nichali, the imatzi ish l'kadish atzmal ish, hachanami dehavi hi dumya de mekadesh netias mamish. If a woman could be magdish herself to a man, that's the case of what? Of being magdish netias. Ella, kivin shatayra omar, ki yikach ish isha, a man should take a woman. V'lei omra ki silakach ish al ish, she should be taken by the man, allow herself. Lav kol himenu shetachnis atzim l'shus habal. She doesn't have the power to allow herself to be taken over by the Baal. Umishamachi amin perikamid the kedushin. The I omrihi, if she says hareini muresas l'cha, I am betrothed to you, aim b'davar mamish. There's nothing to her words because it has to be kiyikach. He has to be the active taker, not that she has anything to do by giving herself over. Elamakivan shehi, guys, listen to this. Elamakivan shehi maskemes the kedusha ish. Since she's masking the kedushim of an ish, since she's masking the kedushim of an ish, he mevateles daita. She's mevatel her das, biritzayna, and her ratzon. Umashve nafsha etzel habal, and she makes herself to the baal. Ki davashel hefker, like a matter of hefker. In other words, just like hefker, it's a total one-sided kinyan, right? So the woman, when she's masking to get married, is not like it's like Chaim. I would tell you, this iPhone is hefker. Go ahead and take it. By kedushin, what your wife did is that she allowed, like the Ran, when she was masking to get married, she says, "I'm not being involved in this process whatsoever. You're doing the whole thing. You are acquiring me. You're kiyikach. You are taking me." Hilkach ein other doinim b'kedushin mitzara isha. We don't look at the woman mitzara isha. Ela mitzara baal, only regarding the baal. Ulagabe baal ki podam acherim damya. And the gabi the baal, it's like podam acherim, like she's being acquired by somebody else. And that's the pshat in the Gemara where it says isha is what is poda acherim, is other people are being poida. That's pshat over here. So this run is used a lot throughout the Lomdish and Masechtas. The concept of that kedushin, usually in kedushin, every kinyan involves 2 people, a kohen and a makna. By kedushin, it has to be only the baal, only the kiyigach, and the way it's done, the mechanics behind it is the woman allows herself to be taken because she's not allowed to be part of the process. Needless to say, again, the sugya is a very lumdish sugya, what we just did, and so we have Baruch Hashem, we have a mahalech, we have the 3 shitas. Again, Mei, I'll be with you in a second. So I see your hand up. I'll be with you in a second, even though I only see your forehead and
yeah.
Okay, I'll be with you there. I can see your face. Okay, so now, the 3 shitas, right? That Ramnuna, neither is paka, like Abaya, both are paka. Rava, the kedusha guf is not paka. Kedusha dam mispaka. We had a kasha of kedusha guf. We said it wasn't speaking about kedusha guf. It wasn't speaking about kedusha guf at all. It was speaking only about it was only giving over Hegdish itself, that only one sided 30 days later. The Chiddush was that you can be magna something for 30 days later, that it's Kodesh, correct? 30 days later. What's the Chiddush? You can magna Shanishim for 30 days, and the Chiddush is go backseas. According to Mandiyam, you can go backseas on the kinyan of the Kedushin, you can't go backseas on the kinyan of what of carbon, because Rasa L'Gvaya can see Rasa L'Hedya. And tomorrow morning we'll have shir at 9 o'clock. Tomorrow morning, what? You're gonna have a minyan 9 o'clock tomorrow?
Yeah, that's fine.
I'll go upstairs. Okay, we'll be upstairs. What? Let's go to if you can All right. I'll answer your question tomorrow, Mayor.
No, I won't be here tomorrow.